Eyes of a psychic spiritual medium. What countries could potentially fall in the near future? How is the coming blood moon and astrological alignments going to affect us both personally and universally in the month of November? Today's topics are going to be today's November 2022 predictions. And as a part of our November 2022 predictions, me and my team of spirit people behind me, see them all back here, we are going to cover lots of different things today, including, of course, the financial markets, finances in the markets, the future of Germany, Israel, and all of Europe as a whole, a zombie outbreak potential? Interesting. And major weather events and so much more. I welcome you all, beautiful friends, once and again. Today is Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. I welcome you back to my channel and to my channel if you happen to be new here. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, here to bring you November 2022 predictions. And I am here every Tuesday, but typically it's Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time predictions updates. But I switched that up a little bit today and instead focused primarily on November's predictions. And then on Thursday, I'll be back with the typical Tittle Tuesdays, but it'll be Thursday this week when we talk about different news stories, how they align with predictions, along with always new predictions. So I saved some of those new predictions for Thursday's show because I started to do the show and plan it the way I normally do. And then I felt, being it's November 1st, really it's the best time ever to put out predictions. Hello in Japan, I just saw go across the chat room. Again, I welcome you if you're new here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, followed by the bell and all, to ensure that you get notifications and know when I go live. But also make sure you set your notifications to all, because one thing I noticed with my group of amazing people here on YT is that many of you miss my uploaded videos. And my uploaded videos sometimes only get half the amount of views as the live videos. Those upload videos take much more time. So in case you missed it, also down below, you'll find my newsletter. That newsletter, if you open that up, it's a brand new newsletter put out yesterday for All Hallows Eve. Check it out, read about it. There's a very special discount offer in there that's almost all the slots are almost gone. Check that out. And then I have two great events coming up. One next Tuesday evening, a very powerful healing ceremony and guided meditation. And then on December 4th, communicating and learning to connect with your guardian angels. So check all that out in the newsletter down below. At the top left, you'll see a subscribe button. Subscribe to that newsletter and you'll know where I'm at, what I'm doing, and you'll see any videos that perhaps you may have missed, because I always line them up in the newsletter. So with that all said, thanks again for hanging out with me. Thank you all for your love and support and the many ways that you bring that love and support to me. I could not do this without all you beautiful people. A little tea first. As we move into November, we have just stepped into the month of November as of today, obviously. Well, it depends where at in the world you are, because some people it's November 2nd already. But November is going to be quite a roller coaster ride. That's why I wore my special roller coaster shirt today that was sent in to me by, I believe, Patty, and I left all my stuff in the other room to do mail. Sorry, we'll do mail on Thursday. But anyway, yes, we are at the halfway point between two eclipses. First, the partial solar eclipse that occurred on October 25th, heading into the second full blood moon cycle and eclipse of 2022. A blood moon that shall greatly affect people's emotions, bring about anger, but it can also ignite our creative sides as well. With the Mars retrograde that began 2 days ago and is about to crush our economies, world global economies, along with bringing about new wars between countries, states, and even more so, war amongst the leaders who allow their power to make their heads and egos bigger than the countries that they lead. The energy of November is a very powerful energy, backed by both the coming blood moon full eclipse, along with the vibrations of the number 11 and the number 8. November is an 8 universal month in the way of numerology. Based on the month we're in, the year we're in a 6, plus that 11 adds up to an 8. So if you're figuring out how you come up with your universal month, again, we are in a 6 year, and you just add that to the number of the calendar month, which takes us to 8. 8 is a vibration that includes money and finances, especially. I warn you, though, not to make money your priority this month. Even though that 8 vibration is a money vibration, do not make that your priority this month, or likely you will end up losing money instead. Instead, focus on what it is that you want, while knowing at the same time that the universe and divine creator will provide for you. If you make money the focus on achieving what you want or need, you are unlikely to attain that goal. Although this 8 vibration can very well pay off when it comes to long-term investments, like that of silver or gold, for example, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a little bit, about those two vibrations of silver and gold. The number 11 vibration of November is one of the master numbers that belongs to the group of numbers 11, 22, and 33. And those master numbers are very powerful and empower everything. And we focus on that one vibration, which again brings upon new things and new starts. This can really ignite our creativity. This can really ignite ideas, new inventions, and all kinds of amazing things on that level, especially when it comes to relationships with both love, business relationships, the relationships upon the different countries in the world. This is all going to be a heavy focus in the month of November. Therefore, the month of November has a great potential to also, because what's going to happen, this energy of the 11 vibration in November is going to heighten your intuitive abilities, your psychic intuitive abilities, your intuition, while at the same time, it's going to help heighten and enlighten people's spirituality. So therefore, the month of November has a great potential to awaken people on a whole nother level, because especially when it comes to like money and arguing over money and things related to that, protests because people want higher pay, protests because people are struggling for food, protest, and protest. And wait until 2023 breaks out. But we're not here to talk about that. Let's stick with November. But again, November has a potential to awaken people on a whole nother level. This vibration is a great help in assisting us in utilizing the law of attraction to manifest just about anything we need or want. So use this to your advantage. Use the law of attraction, use that vibration, because this is a month that you can make stuff happen very, very quickly. Manifest, my friends, manifest. Manifest all your dreams, desires, and things you wouldn't even believe were possible. Nothing's impossible until the universe shows you that it's not. But the thing is universe is going to show you the opposite and show you that anything and everything's possible. Universe is amazing. The divine creator is amazing. Whatever you want to refer to that. God, creator, so forth. So the vibrations of November numbers, along with the planetary influences that are occurring, like the Mars retrograde, for example, is going to bring leaders and leadership to the forefront, which we already see happening. We saw happening in October, but we're going to see that even more so, especially this month in the United States with the whole poll thing coming up, elections coming up in a week, 7 days to be exact, actually, on that full blood moon, my friends. Tell me they're not doing their satanic ritual in high gear on the 8th. Guaranteed they are. Sickos. But anyway, this is going to bring leaders and leadership to a forefront. Like everything, this could be both a positive and a negative. The negative aspect is that the egos of our world leaders, which will very likely clash with one another, and all relationships will need to have a clear focus and a sense of nurturing, something that our leaders actually seem to lack very clearly. We can see that in most countries. So therefore, new leaderships in some countries will unite people in a way that affects new power in a negative fashion, kind of like impeaching them, sadly. We won't see any of that here in the United States as far as that impeachment goes. But in some countries, again, the people rise up almost in a fashion of almost like impeaching or pulling them out of power. And we could likely see that going to occur in Brazil potentially, which I'll talk about more about Brazil and what's happening there when we get to Thursday's normal Tittle Tuesdays. It's going to be Tittle Thursday instead this week. So the prospect, the positive aspect to November's energy is that just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. I thought I missed something. Yeah, so the positive aspect to November's energy is new positive relationships that can potentially take form, because that whole focus of the vibrations that are happening, it is very well focused and centered on relationships. And of course, it's not just your own personal relationships, but they are going to have trials and tribulations. It's a time to focus on that, but not to jump fully into relationships, because there's a sense with the energy of 2022 of needing to nurture ourselves, needing to take care of ourselves, to look at our health and better health issues, to avoid health issues and better health. That's a whole focus this whole year. But that focus is going to, again, highlight and heighten in the month of November, because this November energy is about spirituality. It is about your connection to the divine, whatever that connection may be, whether it's going to church or creating a church within your home or meditation or whatever that may be for you. But this is a sense of really deeply connecting to your spirituality. Another positive aspect, again, this can affect relationships for the globe with, global leaders in a positive form. But looking at our current world leaders right now, it's kind of hard to imagine, right? It's kind of hard to imagine them all coming to the great round table, the Knights of the Round Table, and actually making an agreement with each other, like putting everything that's going on in Europe. We can't imagine that being possible right now. But again, don't rule that out, because anything is possible, like I said earlier. But chances are these relationships that form, new alliances that are positive for, a small group of countries, but at the same time being negative for other countries like United States and Canada. So I see a friendship thing or relationship thing coming together with certain countries, which has already been happening. It's already happened and been happening, but even more so, we're going to see that in November until we get into the new year, but especially in November, because leadership is a main focus of relationships. So we're going to see relationships form, but we're going to also see relationships that we thought were formed break apart. Like, for example, this is just an example, like everybody thinks that Russia and China are like, buddies, and they probably are. But what if we find out in November that that's actually opposite of the truth? So that's another thing we can expect to happen this month, is the opposite of the truth, what we think is the truth coming into fruition. Relationships that we thought were are actually not, or were not, more than anything. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Like I said, new alliances that are positive for some countries, but negative for other countries. The 8 vibration combined with the 11 energy, topped off with that eclipse coming up on the 8th, is guaranteed to drum up the biggest news stories of 2022. So hold on tight, for this roller coaster ride is about to go downhill and through many loops and turns. And again, I welcome you to my channel. If you just happen to tune in, my name is Joseph Tittel. We are talking November predictions. Just a reminder to click that like button down below to show those algorithms that this is the kind of stuff you want to see in your feed. We can only hope that it helps. Also, if you think you subscribed or have notifications, always come back and double check, because people are mysteriously unsubscribed from this channel and other channels quite often, actually. I have no doubt that they mess with the numbers. I have no doubt that I'd probably have double the amount of subscribers if they didn't mess with the numbers. I have no doubt. But they mess with it. It's kind of messed up. You should be ashamed of yourself, YouTube, because we know they're listening, right? Or they're going to listen eventually. Anyway, predictions for November. And a reminder, again, if you just tuned in, that I'll be back again on Thursday evening with my normal Tuesday show. But today we're focusing mainly on predictions. And I have a list of predictions. So this makes it different than Tuesday, because Tuesday we talk about major events that are happening in the world, news articles that align with it, along with new predictions and past predictions. So Yeah, and I have a lot written down in my notes for what typically would happen today. But we'll do that on Thursday. So be sure to come back on Thursday. Excuse me. The housing market. I said this a while ago. I warned everybody I know, friends and all, and y'all, that it's going to reach to the bubble get so big and then it's going to pop. The housing market is popping. And we're going to see major signs of that in the month of November. And again, remember, we are in an 8 vibration. And sometimes the combination of the vibrations that are happening now, again, have to do with nurturing ourselves. It has to do with our home life, because our home life has a lot to do with nurturing ourselves. So this brings the home into the vision and into the forefront of what's happening in the world with the numbers and with the astrology and, again, psychic intuition, that we're going to see very clear signs of that bubble bursting. And in some areas, it's going to burst suddenly. Thank you, Helene, for your chat cash love and support. So I see that, again, that's going to become a big thing this month. We're going to see that become the forefront, and globally too, especially in Europe. And this is going to bring about, starting this month and going into 2023, a lot of empty homes. Spirit just showed me so many empty homes, nobody going into these homes. I saw like areas that reminded me, I don't even know what it reminds me, areas where there's just like everybody boarded up their windows and left. So I see that sadly becoming a reality. Starting now, that's happening now, but again, it's going to just get really more significant 2023 and 2024. Also, a large rise in squatters. If you don't know what a squatter is, they're those people that move into a house and act like, act like they're going to live there and pay the bills, and then they don't, and they get away with staying there for as long as they can. And they make it very hard to evict people, depending on where you live and what country you're in, but in the United States, what state you're in. Because over in the East Coast, most states on the East Coast, you can't evict somebody during the winter months. Starting, I think, November, December, into March, which is ridiculous. So there's going to be a big rise in that. So all of our friends watching that are landlords or plan to be a landlord, it's not a great time to be a landlord. I wouldn't recommend it. But again, anything is possible. You need to make sure you have somebody that's dependent. Not only just somebody that works and has a regular, income, but somebody that you kind of have an intuition knowing that they have some money stashed for later too. Because we're going to see, again, with the home crash that's coming, a lot of empty homes, a rise in squatters, and a bigger rise in home invasions. So be safe, folks. Go out and buy yourself some little cans of tear gas. Buy yourself a little taser. Have that nearby. Keep it sitting next to you when you're in your house. Sadly, because these are the times we're at, especially if you're in a city, anywhere. And just these two things I wanted to talk about: the housing market and then the economy as a whole. And then I'll go into the list of the multiple amount of predictions that I have for you all today. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was silver, and I will go more into detail on this on Thursday. So again, all the more reason to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can come back on Thursday. More information makes it a juicier month. So silver. I told you a while ago to invest in silver, to have something physical, because Spirit was showing me that there was going to be an event that makes silver spike. And Spirit showed me that about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And I didn't heed the warning and the advice. And if I would have made a fortune, because that following year, silver went up to an all-time high because there was a shortage in silver and they needed it to make computers, cell phones, or whatever. And Spirit just showed me that same type of vision and prediction for silver, earlier this year. So that's why I started, I think it was my January 1st annual predictions. So I started buying a few pieces of silver. I had an order today. I was going to order more because I feel this urge to order silver. And if you look at silver went to $18.11 on September 1st. And then it was at $18.67 an ounce on October 19th. So it didn't go up that much. But then it went up to back in March 8th, it was up to $26.62 an ounce. So if you would have bought silver back even in, well, not September because we're looking at March, but if you would have bought it prior to that at 18 bucks an ounce, you would have made quite a nice little profit. That's not as big as a profit as Spirit made me feel or showed me in my previous prediction on silver and precious metals. I say silver because it's something that some of us can afford. Not all of us can go out and buy gold, you know. Not only that, silver was showing me that the all-time investment, the long-term investment, would be more valuable of an investment than gold. That's what Spirit said. This was back in January. But I wanted to bring that up today because today, I started looking at silver because the price is higher now than what it was when I bought it earlier this year. So that's why I'm going to get some. What is it? It's like 1967 an ounce now, I think, somewhere around there. Somewhere 19 something. I think it's 1967. But when you go buy it online at these bullion places, it's 25 bucks an ounce. They have to make money, so you kind of losing money in that way. That's why maybe go to a pawn shop, places like that, try to buy silver and know the price of silver when you go in to buy it. And we don't deal with them because you shouldn't pay. Otherwise, you could buy brand new silver online for a couple dollars more. Depends on what the pawn shop's trying to charge you. Health and disease will become a great focus beginning this month with new outbreaks and lockdowns in new areas. China, as we know, that's another video I did that many of you missed, specifically on China. I did that last Friday. Check that out. Because a couple weeks ago, I talked about China hiding something and hiding a secret again. And they did that back in 2019, before the 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. They tried to hide that. And Spirit said that they were doing that again. And if you haven't paid attention to the news, or if they're hiding it from you, they might be hiding it from you. They're on a big lockdown again over there. I'll talk about more of this later. There's more predictions revolved around that, but also even more so on Thursday. And some of my past predictions, I told you all that there were going to be many changes of power. November's energy, as I said earlier, is all about power and powerful positions, leadership, and many categories of leaders. We already know that a new power went into Brazil, not remotely a positive one at all either, sadly for them. That likely is going to change soon anyway. We're going to see several current and old leaders being taken out of power somehow. I don't know how, but it's all happening now and starting to happen. Something to really pay attention to in the month of November, because by the end of the year, many places around the globe are going to be led by a different group of leaders. And hopefully it's the leaders that are for us and not the leaders that are for the Luciferian army of darkness. Because that's what they just put into Brazil, one of their leaders, one of those dark, evil ones. Problems will begin to become apparent when it comes to Apple and Apple products and a shortage of their products. Waiting lists and many disgruntled customers are coming to the Apple customer list. Apple will begin to see larger drops in their stock shares, especially when we get into early 2023. Apple is going to have its hands full and will have a harder time with less employees due to layoffs, potential shutdown of one or more of their manufacturers abroad. This also brings about holiday shortages. There's a prediction revolved around that. These are not in any order specifically. They're just one after the other. I see a massive automobile accident, but Spirit tells me 3 in all. One accident is a huge pileup of what looks to be dozens and dozens and dozens of vehicles and trucks. I'm pretty sure that this particular one was in the United States, and it was due to an ice storm and black ice. It was huge. Spirit also shows me similar issue in China. One feels makes me feel like record-breaking amount of vehicles and or injuries, and that's why this would come up. I mean, there's pile up accidents all the time, but this would be something huge, like a record breaker. I saw an accident too that appeared like vehicles that were going off the edge of the road, and which I also believe to be related to a bridge, meaning that they didn't know it's out and they can't stop by the time they get to it. Oh, sorry, I dropped you guys. Sorry for that moment of static. Let me put that over here. Yeah. So, yeah, I saw visions of them going off a bridge, and it looked wet. It looked like it was wet or icy or something, but it looked like the bridge was out. But people were also turning because they saw, I guess, getting close to it, seeing that it's out, and they jerked their wheel, and I just see cars piled up on the edge in a ditch on the side of the road. Not sure where exactly this is, but related to a bridge. This may align with some of my predictions I made about bridges in the past, and even recently. I had just recently we did have 2 big bridge collapses. I'll talk about that on Tuesday. See what else I get around the realm of bridges and bridge collapses. But I said earlier this year that infrastructure was going to be a big focus. I said that in New Year's Day, actually. All infrastructures, bridges, things like that, and it's starting to become a focus. Spirit just said to me, wait till 2023. They always like to butt in and always have a good sense of humor. That's good. I see several boating, ship, and ferry accidents occurring. This was really odd to me. It feels to me like a touristy type ferry or type of boat. Reminds me of back east. What was it? The duck one, where people were killed in Philadelphia. Reminds me of that or something along those lines. There will be several, according to Spirit, globally. November is going to be a rough month in the waters, but also Spirit made me feel like that it's a very much an accident-prone month in November. So the whole month feels like accident-prone, and this would so being that November is an accident-prone month, according to Spirit. We will see several crash landings of planes as well and helicopters. At least the crash landing that I had a vision of today was pretty successful. So I know that another one will not be as successful. I also see a tragic accident revolved around another Hollywood movie production. This would involve likely a helicopter, but I see some kind of major accident, possibly affecting 3 to 5 people, their lives, with a Hollywood movie production or something like a Hollywood movie production. So planes, helicopters, trains, ferry accidents, things to be aware of. If you have intuition, you get ready to go on a ferry, don't get on the ferry. We put these things out to help shift things or be aware of them, be more alert. Remember, accident prone month means be more alert so that you don't become accident prone. Unfortunately, I see a string of bombings that reminded me of past, like way back suicide bombers, like over in Iraq and Afghanistan or Israel. We are going to see a string of suicide type bombers and many explosions throughout the month of November. Spirit just said it again. November is going to be explosive. They think they're funny today. November is going to be explosive. This may include some type of explosive event taking place at a small airport as well. If not, then separately, I see some type of commotion and drama at an airport, likely related to the same subject. Another thing, being prone, things are prone to fall apart or be accident prone. I saw several building collapses, which is really interesting. One building that Spirit shows me now is under construction. You know, there's construction workers, and there might even be one that may perish in that collapse. I also see a big crane collapsing from high atop a building. It looks somewhat like sort of like New York City. So that's not necessarily a building collapse, but it's the collapse of a crane on top of the building. And the other one felt like the structure was collapsing, and it looked like maybe an apartment building of some sort. This didn't look like America to me. I'm not sure where it was, but that would be probably the biggest one in November. Besides that, again, Spirit's reminding me now that there's going to be a lot of earthquakes. I'll talk about that later specifically. And those earthquakes, of course, in one of my predictions down below includes buildings collapsing. So again, it's going to be a theme in November of building collapses. So if you work in the industry, you're a construction guy and you're working on a building and you feel like it's unstable, remember me saying, get the hell out, stabilize it. And speaking of that, great typhoons are coming to the continent of Asia. The Philippines will be hit hard by weather and earth events. Look for severe weather around that area on the 8th and 9th of November. I saw, going back to, I told you these weren't in any order. They came through the way they came through today. I saw a train derailment, and I felt that November would be a rough month in the way of travel. For example, issues with vehicles, buses, trains, and all forms of transportation. Like I said, an accident-prone month. See, this one should have been up higher. I don't know how it got down here, but whatever. One accident I see is in India with trains, this is. Another one is in Russia, China, and the United States. So there's lots of train things going on. Again, the countries that popped up to me was India or Russia, China, United States. One of them looks like it could even be subway, and it looks like something I told you about explosives. It's going to be an explosive month. So I don't know if that's back to Russia. Maybe it's related to their war in Europe. I feel like definitely Europe related. So folks in Europe, no matter where you are in Europe, be aware of your subways. This looks like more of a subway system. It looks like as it's coming out from underground, you know how subways come out and then they're above ground. It looks like as it's coming out or getting ready to come out, like I'm on the subway and I see, unless it's a tunnel, something to do with a tunnel, that could be too, a regular train. I think it's a subway, my friends. It's what I think it is. Oh, there's more. An accident-prone month, I see an accident in India, another in Russia, China, and the United States. One incident occurs when a train crashes into something, such as a bus, causing many fatalities. Could even be a school bus, hopefully not, but this is all November stuff. Saudi Arabia, we were just talking about that, me and my friends on Zoom. You could be one of our friends on Zoom too. You just got to hang out with us on the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community. The links are down below. We were talking about Saudi Arabia, and I didn't know this. One of our friends just said, what did he just tell me? Damn. I can't remember what he just told me. Something about Saudi and Iran. That's all I remember. But here's the prediction, because Saudi Arabia came up very strongly to me today, and I've mentioned Saudi Arabia in the past month or two. Spirit says the evil that is thriving in Saudi Arabia will soon come their way. Their karma, that is, will come their way. Changes to the Saudi people. Spirit called it a karmic strike on their land. That's what Spirit called it today. A karmic strike on their land. I believe the United States is already planning some sort of sabotage of their oil fields, kind of like the ones they did to OPEC or whatever that one was under the, what was it? I just drew a blank. I can't remember. You all know the ones that were sabotaged in the ocean. Drew a blank. But I saw a sabotage of something that had to do with Saudi Arabia directly. See, they're going to try to flex their oil muscles, but when it comes to anything else, they ain't got no muscles. So they have crap for military, according to Spirit. It'd be easy for them to take out. What do you think about the potential of, I always said that the whore of Babylon in the Bible was United States. But the more I read it and study and look at prophecies, the more I'm starting to think that maybe it's Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia falling. But anyway, going back to the predictions and the sabotage of their fields, remember in my past predictions, I had visions of oil fields on fire that reminded me of back in Desert Storm. This may be where my past vision comes into fruition to do with Saudi Arabia. It would make the most sense. That past vision is certainly certainly holds strong now due to this energy crisis. Because when I predicted that a while back, we didn't know. I just saw visions of oil fields on fire. But now that we're months and months later, kind of looks like it has a stronghold on it, right? I've warned our friends in Germany, our dear friends in Germany, for over a year now. And Spirit brought the energy of Germany in strong today, right after the Saudi Arabia energy came into me strong. Sudden changes in leadership over there in Germany and parliament. Germany is already struggling, and soon the current struggle for the German people will look easy compared to what is coming up in the very near future. Spirit says, that's why I always say focus on our blessings and miracles each and every day, because it could always get worse. It can always get better. So therefore, it must be pretty okay. Always think of it that way. But anyway, going back to Germany, is struggling already and soon's going to struggle even more so. Spirit said Germany has a strong potential right now to ignite a new war by early 2023. I don't know why, but this is what Spirit said today. Again, Germany has a strong potential right now to ignite a new war by early 2023. They will take their suffering out on someone else. Sounds familiar. I get the strong feeling that their attacks are on a target. That is a target. What they're going to do is target the wrong people with the wrong reasons, is what Spirit was showing me today. And I don't know how to spell sometimes. There we go. So yes, Spirit gave me a feeling that their targets or their attacks would be to the wrong people for the wrong reasons. So I don't know exactly what that means. And as you know, we don't know always some of the predictions until later on when they come into fruition, or when we come closer to it, we can look at it with more clarity. Excuse me. La 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 la. Tea time. Wrong people. There we are. Spirit says we will soon see a small chaos leading to a larger chaos on the streets of Germany. I think they have a small chaos going on now, so that's going to lead to a large chaos. I also had a vision of people fleeing across country lines. I'm not clear if this is still related to Germany or not. Probably is, but I'm not sure. But what it looked like to me is they were sneaking out of their own country. Not that they were trying to flee to get to a safe country. They were trying to escape a country that they couldn't get out of. It was really interesting, almost like they were prisoners sneaking out off the land. That's what it felt like to me. So I don't know where this is. It's probably still Germany. It all came through at the same time. It would make sense that if not Germany, definitely a part of Europe. What are they going to lock their citizens in so they can't leave? I just find that very interesting. Problems between Israel and Palestine are going to arise once again. Israel will make claims to peace, but Spirit says instead they bring unrest. Spirit, or Israel, will soon be tested greatly, and not by the Palestinian people, but rather another outside unexpected force. I say probably Iran. My fears are that these coming issues for Israel deeply involve Iran. Remember, the evildoers wish to rebuild the Temple of Solomon in Babel, as you know, if you know those prophecies, and therefore they will do anything and take out anybody along the way, according to Spirit. And their plans to fulfill this prophecy are now in progress, the prophecy of rebuilding, the Temple of Solomon. And soon actions will prove this prophecy to be 100% correct. So again, Spirit said, just to repeat this, it's a good one, that remember the evildoers wish to rebuild the Temple of Solomon in Babel, and therefore will take out anyone in their way, according to Spirit. Their plans to fulfill this prophecy are now in progress, and soon actions that occur this month, I would say, will prove that this prophecy is 100% correct. So we'll have to see. Problems between China and Japan are also going to escalate. China's big bully attitude is not going to fare well with Japan's "don't F with us" attitude. That's exactly what Spirit said today. I thought it was kind of funny. So again, China's big bully attitude will not fare well with Japan's "don't F with us" attitude. So there will be issues that arise revolved around airspace and whose airspace it actually is. So this brings me into my next prediction here about China. China is going to make a strong attempt in showing the world that they are the new world bullies. They will attempt to push ownership of their land, air, and water into new territories. So they're expanding their space, attempting to, and they're going to do it in a way of being bullies to see if anybody does anything about it, and hoping they will so they could take over your land completely. Air and water and new territories. Japan will do a whole lot of flexing their muscles, or I'm sorry, I put Japan, China. China will do a whole lot of trying to flex their muscles in the month of November. The November energy highlighting leadership, as I explained earlier, and egos will not fare well for the world, unfortunately, especially with the Mars retrograde. I see them attempting to push the limit with Japan. Not just Japan. I see China pushing the limit with Japan, India, United States, and surprisingly, North Korea. North Korea, because they want that land. Spirit says China wants to claim North Korea just as much as they are planning to claim Taiwan. So, again, that was interesting because that's not my notes, only just part of it. China wants to claim North Korea as much as they plan, Spirit said plan, to take Taiwan. So I would not be surprised at all. Speaking of Taiwan, this is in my next prediction. Speaking of Taiwan and our friends in Taiwan, November's energy will actually help to awaken the people there in Taiwan and take a stance against the Chinese sanctions, evil agenda, and large protests are coming. Not that it's going to do any well. We can only hope it does. But again, Spirit just said a couple minutes ago that they want to claim North Korea as much as they already plan on claiming Taiwan. And I know that the leader of China just said that recently before he became the third term president over there. Leader, communist, dictator, whatever you want to call him. Speaking of that, Russia will cross the line in an attempt to flex their muscles. So now what is this? A muscle flexing game this month? It must be. Muscle flexing game with these idiots, I'll tell you. That's ego and power for you. But this time, they're going to cross the line into new territory. So again, Russia's going to flex their muscles. And when they do so, they're going to cross the line into new territory. Remember, I said that. I did a reading on that. And they did take over new territory, but then they lost that territory. But now we know they're gaining more. But they're going to gain territory because when I did the reading on Russia months ago, it was clearly there that they were going to take over new land and new territory. So a warning to all of our friends over there in Europe to prepare, friends, prepare. A new plan first from Russia, and another is a plan from the Luciferian Dark Army of Evil. So there's two plans Spirit said to warn Europe on. And a huge attack is coming. And this attack will somehow affect surrounding areas, the surrounding countries. So we know that the attacks likely on the UKR. I mean, it could be on Russia, but I'm thinking it's the UKR. And Spirit was showing me that this would affect the surrounding countries. Let's hope that that's not a blast, a nuke blast. That would be awful. Putin's at that point of flexing his muscles. I wouldn't put it past him. It would make sense to the vision I had in the past of a big mushroom cloud. And I don't know, just because I saw a mushroom cloud, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's nuclear related. But whatever it was big. And the only good aspect about it is I only saw one. So hopefully we don't ever see any of them, any of us. But in that vision, that was quite some time ago. That was earlier this year as well. So going back to these plans, because Spirit said that Dark Army has their plan, but also Mr. Putin's having his little plan. And his plan is planning something for the winter months. And whatever this plan is, They have help, according to Spirit. Russia has help, likely from China, I would expect. And this plan is to take out energy grids and energy resources. And Germany is one of their biggest targets, if not their biggest target. Germany and others. But Germany's response, along with a separate issue that Israel will face probably around the same time, can unfortunately could bring about the Great War. So let's hold in the light that that doesn't happen, because that's what Spirit is showing me. His big plan for Russia and what can happen between them and Germany, along with what happens around the same time in Israel, that can bring about a Great War. Because why? Because the United States and the idiot that's running this country, what's his name? President Obama? Oh, yeah, that's who's running our country. Will probably want to go in and defend them all, right? And start a great war. That's when Americans need to step up and say, no war, no war, no more war. But we're known in this country for president to start a new war so that he gets reelected the next term. So let's hope that doesn't happen, because that would just be like, I think I'd move out of the country at that point. So Germany's response, again, along with that, could bring about the Great War. If that were to occur, which I pray it does not, most of Europe would be completely wiped out. It does not take a psychic to know that crime is on an all-time rise. I see several, this was interesting, several smash and grab and go, not smash and grab, Spirit said grab and go, groups developing within the United States and eventually abroad. It is a vision like that of seeing a flash mob. That's what it looked like in my visions today. They came in like a hurricane, hit several locations with a grab and go. One group becomes quite violent, while another is easily caught due to their own stupidity of organizing such a group on social media. In one case, an innocent person defending themselves or their business shoots one of these looters. Sadly for the shooter, because the shooter is going to be the one that's going to pay the price instead of the savages that steal from other hardworking people that should be the one to suffer. So not sure where this is. I didn't put this in my notes, but I forgot to put this in there. Chicago popped in my mind. Detroit popped in my mind when I was writing that earlier today. Seattle, so several cities, Philadelphia, and even New York, NYC. But going back, yeah, this is kind of interesting that these groups forming, these grab and go groups coming together, and mostly they're probably ungrateful little brats that need to be locked up and probably can't get locked up. But no, it seemed more organized. It felt like an organized crime circuit is how Spirit made me feel. Spirit showed me that one of these groups is up and coming and is being organized and paid for by someone like George Soros, of course. So one's up and coming. This is already a part of their plan. So we're going to see this action start to take place soon. They're smashing go things. And I think that a lot of this is going to happen around the holidays, because that pops up in my mind. Because I told you months ago that they plan on doing everything to spoil the holiday season. And of course, to take Christ out of Christmas. That's their plan, because they're sickos. Sickos. Speaking of sickos, several large companies, a few big tech companies, are going to soon announce major changes, which is better for their bottom line, but not good for the rest of the world, including the hundreds of employees that will soon find themselves jobless. This will include one company to shockingly announce several closures of some of their manufacturing locations. One of these is likely a car manufacturer, perhaps GM. And this could go back to Apple that I mentioned earlier in an earlier prediction. But so that's something to, that's why I say, folks, prepare, stock up on food, be ready in any way you can, as much as you can, and know that that'll be enough, as long as you know that you're doing as much as you can. Protests, I've said it many times, but I'm saying it again in today's predictions, will become one of the main themes developing in November. but really taking form even stronger in 2023, like never seen before on this planet. We see, and 2023 is going to be a wild year, friends. So again, every year, New Year's Day, I do my annual world predictions. I think we're doing this year the 15th or 16th annual live on New Year's Day. But so yeah, protests. We already see this happening in places like Germany, right? But soon this is going to spread greatly, as it really kind of needs to do. As I said over 10 years ago, Spirit said and told me over a decade ago that humanity would be forced into coming together in pure love. What could force humans to come together in pure love? It would take a lot. Unfortunately, it would take a lot. But we can see this forming. We can see how people could be forced to come together. Events. When it's happening on such a large scale, you have to have empathy. Unless you sold your soul to the devil. And that's what Spirit showed me over 10 years ago. Even though that's quite some time away, and I don't feel like that's happening right away. And there's so many great events that are yet to occur before people will come together in that true love. But in 2022, we're seeing a movement ignite. In November, will not disappoint when it comes to seeing people gather together with the same goal of bringing positive change to their people and to their countries. Really important. And we're going to start to see that again this month, but even more so when we move into 2023. Positive change is important. And the darkness is and will continue to attempt and breaking apart people, splitting people apart in any way they can. But in the long run, the people will prevail, not the evil dictatorship agenda that they are currently pushing hard to achieve. And they are. I don't know how people are so blind to not see what they're trying to do. Like, they want you enslaved, like pretty much to your house with a chip in you. And I'm not even going to get into that. They're just sick people, man, sick people. And that's not including what they want to wipe out before they enslave the rest of the people. But we can't focus on that. One day at a time. Let's stay focused on where we're at, where we're going. Be prepared. Awareness is preparedness. I have visions of what appears to me. This was interesting and weird today. I had visions of it looked like explosions in the water. The only way I could interpret that was missiles in the water, or some type of underwater explosion, or explosions, because it was plural. So yeah, that could be related to like underwater volcano. This is over the sea, of course. The water I was looking at looked like rough water. Actually, it looked like rough, stormy water. And then I saw these blow ups, at the top of the water, which I would take as like, a missile just dropped in, but you didn't see it drop, kind of thing. So I'm not sure what that is. Maybe I'll get more clarity on that before Thursday. Even though the world markets will have more downs than ups in November, there is still great potential to make money and see the markets flourish. Unfortunately, according to Spirit, there are those dark forces that want us all to struggle in fear, and being current leaders sold their souls to the devil and to the evil army. We are going to see more downs than we actually do ups. But it could be, this could be a great month financially for the world. But they don't want it to be a great month financially for the world. That 8 vibration can bring in great relationships. It could bring in great new financial structures and all kinds of good stuff like that. They don't want that. So that's why my feeling, sadly, is that there's going to be more downs this month than ups with the markets. It could be great if our leaders would actually, again, come together and do what they should be doing, but they are not. They sold their soul to the devil. The only, when it comes to all that, they only are interested in what they recently invested in, is what Spirit told me. And I'm like, well, wait a second, Spirit, what did they invest in? You didn't tell me that. Spirit people didn't tell me that, but they said, they only care about what they're invested in and what they have just invested in, according to Spirit. So if anybody's got any inkling on what these billionaires and millionaires all just invested in or are starting to invest in, let us all know, because we want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Because other than that, you're taking more of a bigger risk now than ever. But again, Spirit didn't clearly tell me what their investments are. Maybe I'll get more information on that in the near future. There is, sadly, I hate to break it to you, there's another lockdown of sorts coming. Thankfully, I don't believe this is in November, nor do I believe it is a global lockdown. At least not yet. And let's hope it's not, because, they want to do a environmental lockdown as one of their goals. It's in their playbook. If you don't know their playbook, look up their playbook. They're pretty sick, and they play that playbook pretty damn good. If they were a football team, they'd be winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. I see a lockdown of sorts in Africa, actually. Africa, but it's also related to something new, but also something old, according to my spirit guide. So that was a tough one for me. Something new, but something old. Disease-wise, illness-wise, according to my spirit guides. Old perhaps being like something like Ebola, and something new, perhaps a combination of Ebola and something else. What do they call them? Like, when they mutate something that's mutated, that brings about, and this is the description I got, irritated rashes, bumps, and irritated skin, and the disease that's sort of like mad cow for humans, in the aspect that it affects people's brains and makes them somewhat appear to be like zombies. That's right. That's what the spirit showed me today. A disease that affects the brain that can make people appear to be zombies. So, the zombie, I did a video on that a while ago. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was last year, the zombie apocalypse video. That's a good one. You might have missed it. So you got to go on my channel and look at. So, I'm going into new events. So, yeah. I see several, sadly, shooting events that are coming in November, beginning with one in a shopping mall or shopping center. One also VIA, where a movie theater is. I'm not saying it's in the movie theater, but there's a movie theater where this is occurring, one of these. California will deal with an overload of crime in several shootings in California as well. I see some shootings happening outside of the United States, but I couldn't hone in on where that was. The only places that popped in my mind was Canada and the UK. But that's all I got on that. I tried to get in more information, but again, it seemed like an explosive month. And we can take an explosive month and make that relevant, sadly, to some type of crime shootings. I tried to tune in to see if there was anything more revolved around that. There wasn't, which is a good thing. But of course, that 11 energy of November is full of surprises when it comes to events, even weather events. And that's what we move on to next. Weather events and earthquake activity. Parts of the Asian continent is going to endure great storms bringing about large floods and rescue missions. I see visions of water so high that some of the bridges completely disappear while other bridges are completely taken out. I saw large beach erosion that I've never seen. It was almost looked like the beach became a cliff going down. It was really, really weird looking. That's what it looked like. It looked like it eroded the side of a mountain because it looked like it became a cliff. That was the vision I had earlier today. I saw large beaches that erode greatly from one large record-breaking storm. China will soon be busy dealing with weather disasters and several large quakes, along with their new breakouts of diseases. Tokyo came to mind very strongly today as well. While focusing on weather events, I believe that Tokyo and surrounding suburbs in Japan will also endure great storms that bring floods, but more so an earthquake that shakes them up pretty well. Earthquakes, some very large, are going to begin hitting areas that would least ever expect to receive an earthquake, especially of the magnitude that they receive. And this is going to happen as we approach and pass the November 8th full blood moon eclipse. I expect more movement of the plates to occur in November, especially on the full moon 8th itself, and more so the entire week that actually follows the full moon eclipse from the 9th until the 17th. Peru came to mind, as did Iraq, when activity with activity within the next few days, actually, along with both China and Japan. I expect China, India, and Pakistan to potentially feel some of the largest quakes coming up this month. One quake appeared to me to be very large. It brought up memories of the great quake that happened in Haiti, not that, 10 years ago or however long ago it was. I mean, how could you forget that? That vision, that reminder came to me. So I hope it's not Haiti again. That would be awful, but it could be. But I saw visions of great damage, buildings collapsing, and major rescue efforts. I couldn't exactly see where I was, though. United States is never in the clear when it comes to activities, including several unpredictable ice storms, large blizzards, and a storm that hits the north of the United States and Canada around the holiday time, which is coming up the end of this month. Holiday meaning the holiday of Thanksgiving. So I saw unpredicted storms, unpredicted ice storms. This is this month too, not the winter, but this month, which is really interesting when Spirit showed me that today. And Spirit said it would be a holiday travel nightmare come Thanksgiving around the United States. California is going to shake, rattle, and roll, especially at both tips of both northern and southern tips of California. So all the way up top towards Washington and all the way down the bottom towards Mexico. One large quake along the coast of Mexico also will shake California, but I expect there to be quite a bit of odd activity this month. Odd activity when it comes to the East Coast of the United States. And many East Coasts, like even the East Coast of South America. And there's something about the East Coast this month. Mainly United States, but the whole East. Spirit showing me the whole Americas, both North and South America, the whole East Coast right there. So some great activity happening on the East Coast of the but in the United States itself, right below Florida and right below Florida. So I wouldn't at all doubt to see the Florida Keys shaken up a bit. But even more so, I got down below Cuba, Jamaica, the Caribbean. And again, maybe back to Haiti again. But that's a large area of activity is what Spirit was showing me. So look for big events to occur both on the 8th, the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th. The 22nd and Thanksgiving Day. I don't know what day that is this year. What day is that this year? Let me look at my calendar. I don't remember what day it is this year. Usually it's somewhere around the 25th of the month. So it is the 24th. So the 22nd is the day before the new moon, which is interesting because Spirit did say the 22nd. And then, of course, 29, 31. Times to really, really pay attention to. Remember, too, tomorrow is the celebration of the Day of the Dead. The veil between our world and the spirit world is very thin, and it got really thin yesterday on All Hallows Eve or Samhain or depending on where you are at, Halloween. And tomorrow, Day of the Dead, these 3 days are a great time to connect with your loved ones in spirit, honor your ancestors, do some ceremony revolved around that, some celebration, feast for your ancestors, loved ones, and pets in the spirit world. Remember about Thursday's show, because I'll be back Thursday with my normal show. Today was all focused on November predictions. So until the next time, remember to be kind to others as you wish others to be kind to you, because we all know that mean people suck. And I will see you in the future. I saw that in my crystal ball this morning. Until next time, beautiful friends, enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to click that like button. Thank you for your love and support in any way that you have brought that through to me. Much love, Spiritman JT signing off. Namaste.